Hey y'all, welcome back. If you don't know me, I'm TK, and this channel is all about doing a little bit of makeup, doing some food, which we're going to do tonight, and having a lot of fun. So if that sounds like a good time to you, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button down there, do all the YouTube-y things, and make sure you leave a like on this video. Thanks. Okay, so tonight I had some just kind of leftover things, and I thought, I bet I could make a pretty decent snack out of just these few leftover things. We're talking about literally four ingredients. Very simple. Y'all, we're gonna make some pizza cups, and if that sounds like fun, then stick around. Welcome to Foodie Friday.
Hey, let's just alles get faded. Let's just alles get faded. Yeah, hey.
So those four ingredients are some leftover spaghetti sauce, some Italian blend cheese, some mozzarella and provolone blend, and some crescent rolls. I've got some pans already sprayed with olive oil. I've got my oven on 375. Okay, y'all, this is already turning into 5-minute crafts because we're gonna have to do a hack to get this dough rolled out. That's the first thing we're gonna do. Okay, so what I have here is a roll of crescent dough. We're going to cut this in half here, right? And basically what I have is basically what I have here is I have two crescent rolls, but that's not really what I want, is it? I want this sheet to be together. So we're just pinching, and I'm trying to do this with one hand while I'm filming. It sucks. Like, I don't know how some of these other YouTubers do it. Well, I know how Babish does it, but like, how does like Tabitha do it? Where she's all just like, I don't know. How do you mount your camera somewhere or whatever? Anyways, I've got this on my board. I didn't really flour it. I don't feel like you need to. And for my rolling pin, I'm using a can of beans because we just need a small form rolling pin. And this will do just fine. It actually works a little bit better than having the big rolling pin here. And then what I'm doing is I'm cutting that in half. So I'm going to do that for all of these sheets of crescent rolls. Okay, so I wanted to make this video about things that are left over, things that you kind of always have around. What do you throw together when it's a cold Friday night and you just want to have like a very quick but substantial snack? And so pizza cups came to mind for me when I had this leftover pizza sauce. I had all this leftover cheese from a lasagna that I made like a week ago, and I always have crescent rolls on hand. Crescent rolls are the absolute star of this video. And I'm going to tell you why in a little bit, but they are such a handy thing to have because you can crunch up and reshape the dough, and you can like roll it out and make any shape you want. It doesn't have to be that little crescent, which is handy if you just want some like quick rolls, but they're such a cool thing to have around. They are basically a staple in this house. Okay, so look, we have our crescent dough rolled out into squares and tucked down there in those muffin tins. And here on this other muffin tin, I have only 2 of the holes were filled. And then in these other ones, I have some of my vegan egg and some smoked turkey. And we're going to add cheese in there. Everybody's going to get the cheese treatment tonight. But it helps to have, rather than leave those wells empty, it helps to have something in them so that everything cooks more evenly. So let's start adding the filling to our cups. Okay, so I love recipes that are like use exact measurements and stuff and whatever, but I don't. And I was being facetious when I said that. I don't love recipes like that. I just kind of, I tell you honestly, I just sort of wing my recipes. But By the way, I know that we're gonna get some purists maybe in the audience that go, "Oh, spaghetti sauce and pizza sauce are two different things." Yes, I know they are. Pizza sauce does tend to be a bit more bland, and it generally doesn't have meat in it because you're gonna put meat on the pizza. But the thing is, well, that's all included here. And this spaghetti sauce is a bit richer. Spaghetti sauce is a bit richer. It's more highly seasoned than pizza sauce. So, I do know that there's a difference, but I feel like the extra flavor that comes in spaghetti sauce is just going to add so much more deliciousness to these pizza cups. All right, filling that one. We're going to fill that one. There we go. And that's pretty much the end of my sauce. So we've got our pizza cups filled. Time to bring in the cheese. Okay, so I've got two types of cheese here. In this one, I have a low moisture part skim mozzarella with a provolone. Those are two kind of stretchy cheeses. I've got asiago, parmesan, and romano, which are your grated harder cheeses. So this is very finely ground, and it has a drier texture. In the other bowl, I have a mixture of mozzarella and provolone. Again, those stretchy cheeses. That's going to kind of go on top. It's going to sort of seal everything together, and it's going to give that nice brown, pizza cheese top thing that you get from the, from the pizza shop. Okay, let's go put the cheese on. Okay, so our Italian mixture with the harder cheese is mixed in. That's going to go inside the cup. And the reason being because I don't want to add a lot of moisture in there, but I want to add the flavor to it. You could just use a grated romano or a grated parmesan for this if you wanted to really just bring that real tang to it. I like this blend. I buy it a lot. I get it from Harris Teeter. I like this blend because I do like the sharpness of a good asiago or a good parmesan, but when I'm making something like this, I don't want it to really be too sharp. We're going to add a little bit of that cheese to our turkey cups too. I have a story about these, and while this is baking, I'm gonna tell it to you. I hope you find it as heartwarming. We're gonna fold these over. We're gonna just bring them up, bring them over. There we go. And we're gonna tuck them in. All right. Tuck everybody in so that they don't just blow up all over the place. All right, there we've got everybody tucked in. But wait, there's more. This stuff is going to be super stretchy. And I don't want to have too much of it on the outside because I really don't want like that burnt cheese. But I do want it to be on top. So, and these are my little, again, vegan egg with a little ham in there. And you know what else I'm going to do for those is I'm going to put a seasoning on those called Tony Cherries. Now, if you haven't tried this Creole seasoning, you should get you some. Okay. It is a bit spicy, so go easy at first, but oh my gosh, it is delicious on anything and everything. Just going to go over those with Tony Cherries. And yeah, I know that's a bit much. My ulcer's going to be crying, but I won't care when I'm eating it, is basically the thing. All right, so we got a 375 degree oven on, and we're gonna pop these babies in for 15 minutes. Okay, so let's talk about crescent dough. I know I'm sure everybody has probably tried crescent rolls from Pillsbury or from some version of them or whatever. But they are so incredibly versatile, and I'm going to tell you why. It has to do with the way that croissant dough is made. A crescent roll is basically just croissant dough. Croissant, if you really want the French, croissant. You're going to hear me butcher it because I talk really fast. But, so croissant dough is made in layers. So if you've made bread, maybe you tried making bread during the pandemic. But if you've made bread, or if you've even seen bread being made, you know that you start with warm water, yeast, sugar. You let the yeast bloom, or you can use instant yeast, which is much more handy, but it's all in how you want to do it. And then you add a little bit of oil and you start adding your flour. Generally, when I make bread, I've always made bread with oxidant flour. And oxidant flour is a high gluten flour. So obviously, if you have gluten sensitivities, that is not going to be the flour for you. But oxidant flour has a very high gluten level, so it's perfect for making breads that are your stretchier kind. So it's going to be like your Italian breads, those breadsticks at Olive Garden that they always try to fill you up on before your meal comes. Those are going to be made with something like oxidant flour. Okay. Croissant dough is made with layers of bread dough that is made with oxidant flour. It's very stretchy. You take your bread dough, let it rise, punch it down. I probably would let it rise twice. That's just how I've done it, but some people only let their bread dough rise once. It's fine. Flour your board, roll it out, and you're gonna put a layer of butter on that bitch. And then you're gonna fold it over like a book and then roll it out again, okay? And then put more butter on. And then you're going to fold it down and up like an envelope. And then you're to roll that out again. And I think the last time I made croissant dough, I did about 5 turns like that. You're gonna definitely need to add more flour, but all that butter in there is gonna create these thin layers of dough. And so that's why when you pull a croissant apart, you get that beautiful flaky layers, and they're so light because all that butter was in there and is soaked into the dough. So that's what crescent rolls are, and they're already in a roll and they're already ready for you. You can shape them however you want. So once you have your croissant dough made, you can basically wrap up anything in it. So one layer, and you can roll them up. You know, you can just roll them up and bake them 375 for about 15 to 20 minutes. You can roll up stuff inside of them. You can cut out squares and you can put like a piece of, lunch meat ham, piece of some stretchy cheese. I wouldn't recommend American cheese, but you could try it. Why not? And you could sort of fold it up or add another piece on top, and you made yourself a little hot pocket. You can roll up chocolate in it. If you take it and you put cinnamon, sugar, and butter in there, and you roll it up in a tube and then you slice it, you've got yourself a cinnamon roll, basically. That's how they're made. So there's no end to the things that you can roll up in croissant dough. One of my favorite things that I discovered when I was in France, I think I was there in like 1984 with a class trip, was pain au chocolat, which is basically pain, bread, au chocolat, with chocolate. Are you kidding? Bread and chocolate in the same thing? Yes, please. Yes, please. And it is the way that they make it is, it's croissant dough, but instead of rolling it up into that crescent shape that we're familiar with, they put it into like a rectangle pillow, and then in the middle, in between, it's two pieces that are one on top of each other, and then the ends are rolled, right? So inside there is some chocolate, and I've had this dish here in America, and it's always a very sweet type of milk chocolate. Sometimes it is a very sweet dark chocolate. But in Paris, where I had it, it was a bitter, I wouldn't even say semi-sweet. Like if we're going to talk about how sweet it was, I would equate it to more of like an 80% cacao bar. That's what it was. And it was, oh my God, it was amazing. It was just like that amazing. It was like big O amazing, like fantastic. And one of the reasons I even learned to make croissant dough was so that I could make that for myself. You know, not much that you can't roll up into croissant dough. If you wanted to make this recipe and put like, instead of putting those squares down into the little wells, you could put some pizza sauce and then some pepperonis and roll those up and bake them. I mean, as opposed to bread dough, croissant dough, I think, is more forgiving. Whereas bread dough is very easy to, if you don't roll it thin enough, if it's not the right moisture, if it's too dry, if your elevation's too high, if like mercury's rising or whatever, then bread dough will screw you on everything. Croissant dough is far more forgiving, I think, and far more versatile to make like these kind of off-the-cuff recipes. So keep a can of Crescent dough in your fridge and you will always have some kind of amazing snack, amazing hors d'oeuvre, whatever. My thing is, if somebody else is willing to do the work, and it's good work, like I don't want trash crescent rolls, but if somebody else is willing to do the work, like why break my back? That goes back to an experience I had when I first moved down here to the South, where I was tasked with making collard greens for an Easter dinner, and I got the collard greens and I cleaned them and did all this everything, soaking them and cleaning them and, you know, preparing them, chopping, all this stuff. And I cooked them for hours and put the ham hocks in and all the seasonings. And was it good? It was good. But then like a week later, I went and I was at the grocery store and I'm like, I'd really like some collard greens, but I don't feel like putting in all that work. And I found these collard greens in a can that were, I found two. There's one that's called Mrs. Holland's and there's another one called Glory Greens. And I can tell you this about Glory Greens. They're too greasy. They're not spicy. They're just greasy. And I do not like them. A lot of people do though. It's whatever. But then I found these Mrs. Holland's greens and I'm like, they're just greens that are cooked and seasoned. No fat in them. No, they haven't been cooked with a ham hock yet. They're not quite done. So you can stick them in a crock pot and let them go with a ham hock. Why did I do all that other work? Mrs. Holland's is amazing. They're delicious. They're delicious like right the way they are. If you just heat them up, you just cook them a little bit more. I'm like, why would I ever go back and do all that work with collard greens when somebody else is already pretty much doing that for me and doing a good job of it? So when I think about like things that I will keep around, I'm going to keep crescent rolls around because you can make amazingly impressive things with them and people are going to think that you slaved all day over it. And I'm like, yeah, I'm here for that kind of credit. Okay, so I forgot to tell my story that I said I was going to tell you. So I had a co-worker and a friend, Brad Dixon, who was just an amazing human being, a beautiful heart. He was very, very funny and very sarcastic. I think he sold his soul literally just to make room for more sarcasm. And I can remember at one point in time, he was loved meat a lot. And he was just a meatitarian, you know. And I can remember one time telling him that my husband had taken me to a steakhouse and that I'd had a salad with oysters. And he was like, what is the point of that? That is what my food eats, you know. And I loved him. And I worked with guys. I had the privilege of working with him every day. He was just an amazing person. He passed away this past Thanksgiving. But I think about him a lot. And I especially think about him since I discovered this vegan egg. Because I know that he would tease me about it relentlessly. And he would never let me live it down that I cook vegan egg and that I put meat in it, because I'm not eating it because I'm a vegan. I'm eating it because I have an allergy to eggs. So I can imagine him, you know, I'm going to take these egg cups to work probably. And I can imagine him going, hey, what kind of meat did you put in your vegan eggs today? You know? And, so yeah, these are for you, Brad. You know, it kind of makes me feel good telling that story, because even though thinking about him breaks me up a little bit, I figure that if I don't get deplatformed ever and my videos stay on YouTube, then they'll be somewhere where somebody can find out a few things about Brad Dixon. He was definitely a beautiful, beautiful soul, and worth memorializing to eternity on a platform like YouTube. And that his memory will be right here in this video for as long as YouTube lasts. Okay, and lastly, for anybody that's wondering like what's on my eyes tonight, it is from Tammy Tanuka. You can check her out on Instagram, literally spelled like it sounds, Tammy Tanuka. She has a company called Sigil. It's Sigil, SIGIL.me. And she sells these beautiful, incredible duochromes on her website. She's based in Russia, so shipping takes a little bit unless you order the expedited shipping. But the colors and the duochromes, everything you order is worth the wait. Trust me. The quality is amazing, and I just love the way those duochromes pop. Hey Google, what's left on that timer?
There's 47 seconds left.
Yes, my Google is British. I live in the US, but I'm an Anglophile, so she's British, and I love her. Let's go get these things out of the oven. Okay, there we are. You can see that beautiful brownness and deliciousness and cheesiness all over. You can see the bread right there. The bread has cooked up nicely. Let's pop one of these babies out and we'll see what it looks like. Okay, so we've got one loose. You can see my little eggs, my egg little souffle things. they sort of fell. Okay, so we got one back here loose. I just took a little knife and I kind of ran around the edge of it, and I'm trying to do this without burning my hands, honestly. So I've got a spatula here. You can see that. All that beautiful brownness and deliciousness. I'm gonna lift it up. You can see that it did make that nice crust underneath. That is due to the fat that's in the dough. Naturally, it's gonna sort of fry. It's gonna fry on the bottom is basically what's gonna happen. And I know if you're my husband, you'd be freaking out by me putting plates on the stove. I understand. So let's just move this over here a little bit. We'll cut into it. All right, let me do this. It's really hot. Of course it is. That's what you want, right? So you can see all that delicious meat, cheesiness in there, and the cheesiness that's soaked up on the outside. That is a substantial snack, and it was very simple. 4 ingredients, $3.75 for 15 minutes. Okay, so I hope that you decide to try these, and if you try these, please let me know. Come back to this video and let me know in the comments how they came out. I hope that wherever you are having a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, or a great night. I hope whatever you're munching on is super tasty. I hope that you're enjoying it. Be good to yourself, be good to each other, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye, y'all.
Hey, hey, let's just get faded. Let's just get faded. Yeah, hey.